So we currently have a 17-year-old wrestler who came to the clinic. His history was that he was competing in a tournament, and at the tournament he was flipped over and unfortunately landed on his neck, with apparently his red rotated to the right and extended. When the wrestler was competing and it happened, he felt some neck pain initially, some sharp pain, but he continued competing the rest of the tournament. But the next day he felt like his neck was really stiff and really sore. Initial pain level was around 6 out of 10, but he had no previous neck injuries or no previous motor vehicle accidents. Assessment of C-spine, there was no midline tenderness, everything was cleared, no numbness and tingling, no radiating pain, and no change of sensations, and no sounds or felt any sounds, rather.
This is our third appointment with this athlete. Current range of motion is pain at end range with right side flexion and rotation, positive quadrant. Range of motion is almost full in all ranges and has decreased from a 6 to a 2 out of 10. He was cleared to practice non-live drills. And today is our third appointment with the athlete. Our goal is to improve range of motion so that we're getting it nice, full, and pain-free. Address the strength and stability of the neck and core and the thoracic spine mobility. We've positioned him lying supine on the bed, put his neck in just a bit of flexion so we can open up the joint spaces. Our goal of this treatment is to further open the joint spaces, ensure that we can get a little bit more mobility in the neck and allow a little bit more space for everything to move. We've cleared our contraindications in our first appointment, which is the vertebrobasilar artery, the transverse and the iliac ligaments. We're not worried about that. Our parameters are going to be 5-second holds, 5-second hold, 5-second off, 30 times. And the patient should just report that it feels like a nice gentle stretch without any pain. So am I clear to go ahead?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
What am I supposed to feel?
So should we feel like a nice gentle pull, stretching the back of your neck? If you feel anything, either any kind of pain, let me know, or any other symptoms kind of going down your arms or into your shoulders, just let me know. We'll stop. All right. So I'm pulling to a grade 4. So pulling to the end of restriction and holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And relax. Is that feeling okay?
Yeah.
No pain, no tenderness?
No, there's actually good.
Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we do that 30 times. And that would be the end of our treatment.
Okay, for this part of the exercise, we're going to be addressing some of the ranges of motion of the muscles that kind of has been restricting him. So we're doing a scaling stretch. So remember last week how we taught you how to retract your shoulder blades together and pull it down, so to help with your scapular stability. Now we're going to add a little bit of axial retraction.
Okay.
So you're going to look straight, and you're just going to tuck your chin in a little bit, but still looking straight, okay? So it's just going to keep your cervical spine a little bit neutral. And now we're going to try to stretch scalenes, which are kind of like up here. Okay. And so we found that it was quite tight because of what happened during your wrestling tournament. We're going to address like both sides, so just in case one's kind of compensating for each other. So let's start with the right side. What you're going to do is you're going to bring this right here to this shoulder, side bend, okay, and this still look straight.
Yep.
And then now we're going to be addressing, if you look up and tilt a little bit. So this is addressing the posterior scalenes. You're going to be holding this for about 30 seconds. So what you want to feel like, it's a little bit of a stretch. It's discomfort, but not pain.
Not painful, just very stretching.
Yeah. So if it's too much, you can always back off a little bit or turn a little bit. Okay? And then as it gets easier, you feel it's going to loosen. Then you can progress a little bit. So you can do that for 3 sets. And then you're going to do the same thing for your anterior scalenes.
Okay.
So same thing, shoulder blades back together and down, axial retraction. Okay, so neutral C-spine. Bring this right here to our shoulder, but now this time you're going to rotate and look down this way. Okay, so how does that feel?
Stretching.
Yeah, so you're going to hold up again for another 30 seconds. Now another 3 times. Okay, so that will loosen up. You don't have to come back. That will loosen up these muscles. It's probably causing a little bit of pain around your neck.
Okay.
Okay. So the next thing that we're going to be addressing is the strength, power, and endurance phase of rehab. We taught you how to do scapular stability last week or so, and it looks like you've been progressing well. What we would like to do is add on a little bit on it, since you've had that reteaching of those muscles. Now we want to make sure that they have the strength and endurance to last like long periods of time, kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So with the scapular stability, we're going to add the exercises Y, T, and W's.
Okay.
So I'm going to show you what they are. Okay. On your stomach. Are you comfortable there?
Yeah.
Okay. Now you're going to put your arms up to a Y shape, so you're forming the letter Y. Okay. Shoulders nice and stable. So again, bring that scapula up. Okay. Now you're going to slowly lift up, activating your lower traps as you do so. Okay, and then down. Good. And then up again. Activate here. And then lower, nice and lower down. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
You're going to do that for 3 times and 15 repetitions each time.
Okay.
Okay? And now we're going to activate a different part of your muscle.
Okay.
So now we're going to activate your middle traps
Gotcha.
as well with the scapular stability. Now we're going to make sure that they're able to endure long periods of time.
Okay.
So same thing, you're going to be laying down, head in the hole. Now you're going to form the letter W. So you're going to have your elbows down here, arms up here. Okay, same idea. Stabilize the shoulder. Don't make sure it doesn't come up to your ears. And you're just going to bring your scapula in as you lift your arms up and then down. Very good. Okay, bring it up in. Beautiful. How does that feel? Do you feel like it's contracting right here in the middle?
Yeah, just tiring.
Yeah. So 15 reps again, 3 times.
Okay.
If it's too much, you can bring it down to two sets.
Okay.
Because it's a muscle that will probably get tired really easily.
Okay.
And then the last one, same idea.
Okay.
You're going to form the W.
Okay.
Okay, but now you're going to have your thumbs down. Okay, this will activate your rhomboids, which are the muscles that stabilize kind of your shoulder,
Okay.
your scapular shoulder blades as they move up and down. Okay, so now you're going to bring it up again. Nice small movement, and then down. Perfect. You're going to feel it around this area.
Yeah.
Bring it in. Beautiful. And then down. How does that feel? Tiring as well?
Yeah.
Okay, so now you have those 3 exercises that will target those 3 important muscle groups that will be great for your shoulder stability and also will help for your neck.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good. Okay, so the next exercise we're going to work on is for your neck, core, and stability, essentially. So we're actually just going to start you lying down on your back, head on this end. What we're going to work on is getting the deep neck flexors. So they kind of sit underneath the muscles here that we worked on and the muscles here that we've already stretched out. So these ones are going to be like the deep muscles that stretch. So I can just scoot down just a little bit. Perfect. Now this is going to help a little bit, so just shove your tongue to the roof of your mouth. It'll help relax your jaw a little bit, help you use the right muscles. So all you're going to do is that after your retraction that we taught you earlier, so you're going to give yourself the double chin. Perfect. Now all you're going to try to do is just lift your head up a tiny little bit without using the superficial one. You want to feel like it's almost like it's coming under your tongue is where it's going to feel like. You're either just going to try to lift your head a little bit, okay, and drop. Actually, all I'm going to have you do is just look towards your shoes. Just try to take a leap. Yeah. Just try to take a look towards your shoes because they're just going to be a little bit more good. Better. And just hold that for 10 seconds if you can. Let's do 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. So you should feel that shakiness.
Yeah.
And that's just because that muscle is quite weak. And this is going to help strengthen it. So that's the first one. I want you to try to do that 3 or 4 times. And holding for about 5 to 10 seconds. Most important thing is that you're not using the superficial muscles and that you feel it burning or just like tiring, kind of like I said, underneath your tongue and underneath your jaw there. Exactly. That's exactly where we want it to come from. Next one, we're going to have you lying on your side, so with this side down. I'm just going to push this down a little bit. And you can just lie there. So the next thing we're going to do is essentially the same exercise, but instead of looking forward, you're actually just going to lift up to the side. So okay, so yeah. So you're going to start with the axial retraction first and foremost. So again, getting that nice straight line in the neck here, and you're just going to, against gravity, try to pull your ear to your shoulder. Good. And hold there for 5 seconds. 3, 2. Good. Relax. And then just relax. Good. And do a few more of those. Just grab a pillow. Now, the next thing I want you to do is do the axial retraction and try to push your head into the pillow. So nice axial retraction, give yourself those double chins. Good. Nice line in the neck here. And then just try to tilt into the pillow a little bit. Excellent. And again, 5-second holds. Try to do those 2 or 3 times, 3 or 4 throughout the day. Last one we're going to have you do is, again, similar concept, except for you're going to be lying on your stomach. You can change this here for you. And you can just kind of start with your head in the hold there. So again, I want you to do that axial retraction. So give yourself those double chins. And then the only thing you're going to try to do is just lift your neck up. Yes, good. And hold for 5 seconds. 1, and relax. Good. Now again, same thing. We want you to feel this like down here, not right up here. You're not looking up. You're just pulling straight up. Like there's a string pulling your head straight up to the ceiling without having it tilt. Good, and relax. Perfect. There we go. And just like all those other exercises, I'll have you hold this for about 5 seconds, and we'll start you off with 3 or 4 reps of each, because they're quite weak muscles and your head is quite heavy. Perfect. Any questions? Perfect.
Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is address your neuromuscular control and balance, both of which are really important for your sport, right? Because you're always down on the ground, someone's always pushing you over or tumbling you over, and you want to be able to stabilize, control your body so that you don't get injured. Okay? So how we're going to address this is we're going to do a weight shifting exercise on the bubble side of the Bosu ball. Okay, so I'm going to get you to do a push-up position with your hands on the flat side surface of the Bosu. Okay, just like that. Just a little bit lower. Shoulder width apart with the arms. Okay, and then you know how we taught you calf stability. Same idea. Okay, and just hold that. We don't want your shoulders to be rubbing out. And you're just going to lean to right, to forward, backward, side to side. Okay, so we're going to do that for about 20 seconds. Perfect. Okay, so that's going to challenge your core, your shoulder core, and also your neck as well, and be able to react to those forces that might be, that you might be encountering on the mat in the gym.
Perfect.
Okay, so I want you to do that 3 times 15 seconds, and then we can address progressing into a little bit more time or a different type of ball.
Cool.
Okay.
So do you have any concerns at all this past couple weeks or past week regarding your sport? Or
I have a tournament coming up, a meet next weekend, and I was just hoping that I was going to be able to participate and play, and I was hoping it was going to be 100%. Do you think that's realistic, or?
You know what? I think how you've been progressing the past couple of weeks, and you've been really diligent with your exercises, I don't think there should be a problem at all, as long as you keep doing the exercises that we've been telling you and the new ones that we've been doing today. I know that you're still not cleared 100% for practices, but that's okay. You're almost there. Within a couple of days, maybe you'll be back in full practice. In the meantime, what you can do is, if you're doing full live contact drills, is you can bring a bike into the gym, and while they're doing the drills, you can be working on your cardio as well, because cardio is something that's probably important as well for you during a match, right? You want to last throughout the whole match and not just like the first few 10 seconds or so.
For sure.
Okay. And then also, as long as we still keep addressing, your shoulder posture, your muscles at the back, and your neck, and even down to your torso, those are very key parts of your body that will be important to keeping you from getting injured again. So as long as we keep strengthening those and addressing those, keeping those stabilized, you should have no problem. You should be able to compete in that tournament. Okay, so we're addressed pretty much all of those different parts of your body below your neck and a little bit above. So.
Any risk of like further damage or making anything any worse?
You know what? There's no risk of getting it damaged just as long as everything's now stabilized. Okay, that doesn't guarantee that you won't get re-injured. Wrestling is, a pretty
It's a contact.
yeah, it's a contact sport, and you guys get tumbled around. But the best thing to do is prevention, right? And it's especially what you've been doing the past couple of weeks and what you will be doing the next couple of weeks as well.
Okay.
So it's very important as well for you to understand that once you're back into the tournament, is that you still keep doing those exercises and keeping yourself active and keeping those prevention stuff as much as you can. Okay, you just don't stop so that you keep those injuries kind of away.
Okay, cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So the one thing that we did want to discuss is pain. Your pain levels are really well managed right now. You started at a 6, we're sitting at a nice at a 2, so it's there, and you probably feel it every now and again, but it's not so bad, right? So the biggest thing is making sure that when you feel that pain, you know what you're doing, and then you kind of, if it goes away really quickly, or if it's a little bit more dull, like those are things we're super concerned about. But if you make a really quick movement and it's really sharp, and it kind of stays there and doesn't go away and it lasts the rest of the day, that's a sign that maybe we're progressing too quickly. So just be mindful of that and kind of listen to it, but don't be too scared by the pain.
Okay.
And then just to manage it, if it's just really sore, like right after activity or practice, get some ice on it, or even potentially heat if it's just like you feel like you're really tight and that's causing you pain. So if it's just kind of painful and non-specific, let's put ice on it. But if it just feels like a really tight muscle, let's get some heat on it and do those stretches that we already gave you, and you'll be good to go.
Okay. So
Any
should we
questions?
just put it like just in that area and for
You
an
can
hour
do
or so?
your whole neck. Heat, you can have it on for 20 minutes. Same thing with ice. Just make sure that your skin stays red and doesn't get white in the case of ice, or like blotchy in the case of heat.
Okay.
And those are just signs that you need to take it off, or it's either too hot or too cold.
Okay, so how we're addressing the protecting and preventing the wrestler to be injured again is we've created those practice modifications. He's still not 100% practice, but he is still, because we want to get that pain level down to 0 and get that full range in that pain-free zone. So we're currently having him avoid live drills, but he's still biking and doing something in the meantime. We're also going to get him to avoid any activities of daily life that would cause him to quickly extend and rotate his head to the right, which is where the injury is, or even to the left, because we don't want to cause any problems there. But especially to the right, because that will aggravate that facet sprain that he has. And then also, we're going to encourage him to try to do repeated flexion, so the opposite of what we don't want him to do, to manage that pain, because that will open up the joint at the back there and those facets, and to prevent for further injury as well. We are currently teaching him proper posture and how to stabilize his shoulders, his neck, which are important core sections of the body that will prevent any injuries for his cervical spine.
The last thing that we wanted to talk about is return to activity criteria. So when he is ready to go 100%, and the way that's going to look is we want him to have full range of motion in the neck. That's important for him to be able to protect himself and to be mobile, and we prefer for it to be pain-free. We also want full and normal thoracic and cervical spine mobility and accessory actions. And like we said, we want to get that positive quadrant taken care of. So as a wrap up with our wrestler patient and their facet sprain, our goal was to just improve the range of motion and make it a little bit less painful. And to do that, we essentially just want to do a general traction, just to open up the joint space. It does 2 goals, pain and range of motion, and it's just a nice little therapy technique there.
Yeah. So we also wanted to address those muscles that surround, I guess, like around the facet and the cervical spine, especially around that area where he's kind of feeling that pain. So addressing the skin, and usually get tightened, especially this guy is a 17-year-old wrestler still in school. In that generation with the forehead posture, with phones and sitting on the desk for long periods of time. We want to make sure that that's nice and stretched, alleviate a lot of that unnecessary force around his neck, and also strengthen it as well, which we'll address in the strengthening section.
The other thing we want to make sure is that we're giving him things that are actually going to contribute to his sport. Upper body tends to be open kinetic chain, but wrestlers are rolling on the ground and trying to do a lot with first of all, their neck and their arms. So putting him in a closed kinetic chain where he gets stability, activating the rotator cuff and all the postural muscles while changing that weight, creating the reaction that he needs, and just strengthening it in that functional position so that when he returns to sport, he's actually going to be useful and not feel like he's missed out on a bunch.
Yeah, and along with that, since he is always kind of like leaning over on low positions, he always is kind of stabilizing his neck or having his neck up. So he needs a lot of strengthening ability in that area. So that's why we felt that neck core is a very important part of the rehab program, so that it prevents, first of all those future injuries that he could have, but also addresses a lot of his posture. And then along with that, since he is down on the ground all the time, twisting around different motions with the neck turned this way and the other way, if he does have those tight scalenes, it tends to create that first rib elevated or uneven, or whatever abnormality, what's from normal. So we also wanted to assess that and double check, and then make sure that that's also not hindering him from causing that extra stress again on those scalenes along his neck movement. So he has that full range and without that pain.